We have a story from the Minneapolis Star Tribune. The Kaiser Family Foundation put out a report that the average annual premium for family health insurance coverage this year in employer-sponsored health plans is $22,221.
That's impossible. Wow.
The workers are contributing about just under $6,000 toward that cost, with the employers paying the rest.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and I'm just saying, that actually the premiums of just under $6,000 for the workers' share. I know in some big firms where people are getting paid a lot of money, that amount actually is much higher because the employer figures that the employees can cover it. I've got a friend, she's got 2 children, each with very controllable conditions. They both have type 1 diabetes. I know a few years ago, the family's out-of-pocket costs for premiums as well as the care for those 2 kids was $35,000 a year.
Wow.
Think about what families could do with an extra $6,000 a year. Think of what employers might be able to do. Mm-hmm. If they were able to either save that money or pass it on to their employees in the form of higher wages. Yes, of course, if we have some kind of national health care system, there will be higher costs in terms of taxes. But that's a lot of money just for the premium. That's not counting other kinds of costs, like that $700 you have to pay if you go to the emergency room. That's not considering what happens with other costs. What kind of change could happen if people just had even just an extra $6,000 a year?
Or just,
people would be able to own homes. They might be able to go to school. They
might be able to get a car. Or as they say in like Time magazine, millennials might buy engagement rings with diamonds on them. I don't know. I just, oh my God, it's like America is somehow running out of money at a time where we have more money than we've ever had before, because all we're doing is hoovering up money from poor people, working class people, and we're just now moving into higher and higher levels of middle class money that we're taking. It's like we've been saying for a very long time. The American empire is in the process of collapsing because, again, it's like you have to make 3% more money than you did 90 days ago every 90 days. Eventually, you run to a point where, especially when you outsource all your stuff, that people aren't buying it because you're oversaturated. So the only way that you can increase profitability is to decrease expenses. So you don't pay your workers. You try and not give healthcare. And then it's like then you have the whole union situation where unions have been like destroyed so thoroughly because the only thing you can really do as a union is negotiate healthcare prices. Because if you try and increase your wages, the business will just come back and go, well, I guess we won't do cost of living adjustments or whatever with healthcare. So unions basically are just like trying to slow down effectively just an inflation level of healthcare prices. But this doesn't leave anyone in a good position except, of course, insurance industries, hospitals, device manufacturers. And by the way, I got to say, only in a hospital can you be charged with felony theft if you steal 20 aspirin tablets.
Yeah.
Medicare for all, Medicare for all, Medicare for all. Make it happen.
Or some kind of guaranteed health care system, whether it's an NHS style, whether it's, whatever. This is not sustainable. And it's not sustainable for businesses. I mean, how many small businesses lose out on the option of hiring good workers because they can't provide health insurance?
I was actually just listening to a story a while back of this business, and this guy was quitting. And, no, he wasn't quitting. He had requested time off, and it had been approved. And he was on his time off, and the business manager texts the guy and goes, I expect you in work tomorrow. We have short staff, and you're going to have to cover that. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I have time off that you've given me. He's like, the guy writes back, think about your health insurance. Mm-hmm. So I think another thing on top of this is that everything
I
we're
saw
saying,
that, yeah.
and then on top of it, employers, it's used as a cudgel. Is, hey, if you have diabetes, if you leave, you're going to die.
Well, yeah, I remember reading a story. One guy was saying his wife has a serious heart condition. This was before Obamacare, that at least offered some, which did improve things to a degree, not nearly as much as it should have, and it's frankly gotten worse. But he said his wife was in this incredibly abusive job, but she had to stay with it because she had a heart condition. Mm-hmm. And if she left the job, she was risking losing the health care that was keeping her alive.